Hey guys, today's story is the slap that changed everything. I've been DMing a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition group for a few months through Discord and Roll20, and since lockdown and distance don't really help getting a game together, and the fact that I've always wanted to play VTM with some friends, we went with it on Roll20. I'll spare you some of the details of the group, the players, etc. The setting I had chose was in Las Vegas in a semi-Camarilla environment, and the events happened after a big power vacuum with the disappearance of the old vampires, and all of the prince's court, including the prince himself, but still being compliant with the Camarilla's traditions. The group was composed of 3 new players and 1 veteran one. We had a La Sombra, who was the veteran player and particularly strict about the rulebook. A mysterious character. La Sombra are recently introduced in the Camarilla, even though some of the La Sombras were already affiliated to Camarilla or its domains, and he was inclined to use others for his goals. We had a Bruja, who was an ex-wrestler and convict. He was hot-headed and abused steroids and drugs in his mortal life. He was also dumb as a rock. He had 1 point in intellect, with 5 being the max. We had a Nosferatu, who was the hacker and infiltrator, paranoid, and having a difficult past and history both in life and death. He always tried to not get involved in the messy stuff caused by the others, and always tried to know more about his teammates, just in case. And then finally, we had a Gangrel, who is a Native American, a warrior of his tribe, and an underground mob. Not the most clever guy in the room, but cool-headed when needed. In the last session, a 5th player had decided to join, as a Ventru, with a skill set and a game style that was lackluster in the group. But since he was a friend of the others, no one complained, and I don't have any issue with a big group of players when everyone was on board with the idea. The session started with the group being separated, and they decided to meet in front of a casino and to go to an exclusive club inside of it in order to proceed with the plot. Both groups knew where the club was, and they both had invites to go in, so everything was in order to proceed. However, the Gangrel player was absent, so he didn't join the group, and the main group didn't know that the Ventru was going to join them there, but the Ventru knew about them, and decided to stay put and observe the situation near the entrance of the club and check if they were going to arrive. After some time, the main group had arrived at the entrance, and the Nosferatu was the only one who knew where the entrance was, and told the group about it. But the Bruja instead decided to ask about it to every person he saw.
Hey, where's the club, morons?
This first attempt at asking was at an old German couple, who simply dismissed him. The second attempt was at a group of young men who proceeded to shoo him away as if he was a stray dog. The Bruja, being the hot-tempered junkie that he is, grunted and said,
I slap him.
You sure you want to slap him?
Yeah, I want to slap him.
Okay, roll strength plus roll to hit. And it's not the first time that the Bruja, or at least the player behind the Bruja, has acted against random people by wreaking havoc, causing collateral damage, or situations where the other players have to fix everything that he does. Usually, he becomes some sort of secondary villain, which is perfectly okay by me because I don't really care, and he'll pay the consequences of his actions by either NPCs or the other players. But it's kind of like a shenanigan that is like,
oh boy, here we go. He'll surely make a mess and grief everyone.
But with the question of being, how? But he rolled 5 successes with a 10 on the hunger dice. I rolled 2 successes. And since he had 10 on the hunger dice, this meant that in the success of his action, the vampire fails to contain his supernatural power, and usually the result is something exaggerated. I described it to him as, you want to slap him, but what happens is you can't contain your strength, so you hit him with your open hand and smash his head inside of a slot machine. You can hear the jackpot jingle, and coins start to pour out of the machine. The guy was knocked out cold with his head inside of the slot machine, with his body trembling. And the guy's friends were understandably pissed, so they started to push and shout at him, and with the situation escalating, one of them even tried to kick him. The Bruja started to defend himself, but the La Sombra player intervened.
Okay, I can solve the situation again with my disciplines. I can again fix his messes, but it seems that the player behind the Bruja just wants to troll and grief everyone. So, I'll be taking my leave. Have fun. Sayonara.
And with that, he left. And the session had ended after an hour, where the first half was a discussion about how impairing a blood bond should be, as the La Sombra had blood bonded the Bruja, because the manual is kind of vague about it. And the other half was a discussion about how the game should be perceived, what everyone was expecting, etc. After this, there was some blame being directed from the Bruja. He blamed me, as I always made him roll for stuff, and it's my decision to randomize the outcome. But, you know, slapping someone without a roll would still have the same outcome. Try to slap someone in the face in front of his friends. He also blamed the La Sombra because, I quote,
Why didn't he dominate me?
Which he didn't, because when he blood bonded him the one time, and the one time only, he complained for 2 weeks straight about it, let alone if he was going to spam dominate. He also blamed the game because, well, the game is dumb. Because it's dumb. And finally, he blamed the other players because,
I started to play to be chill, and people shouldn't get pissed off at my shenanigans.
Which, after 4 months of him doing these sort of things and laughing about it, even the most patient of saints would get annoyed. We'd been playing for 4 months at this time, and for those 4 months, there are numerous in-game situations that have happened like the one just described. So what do you guys think? I may have even crazier stories involving this group. Well guys, if someone is doing something like this after a couple of weeks, let alone 4 months, you should really be talking to them, and if they don't stop, then they're obviously not for that group. But in any case guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you would like to chat and hang out with other people, I have a Discord link in the description. But as always, have a good one.